Welcome to this week's episode of Esports Wrap. I'm your host, Michael and with us this week we have our guest, Nally. Welcome to this week's episode of Esports Wrap. I'm your host, echo. Michael and with us this week we have our guest, Nally. That's because I left it running on Twitch. But yes, okay, starting over. Welcome to this week's episode of Esports Wrap. I'm your host, Michael and with us this week we have our guest, Nally.
What's up?
This week we're going to be talking about, well, Hearthstone's newest expansion, Kobolds and Catacombs. One very addicting game. Well, expansion, I should say. If only for one reason. The dungeon runs. Have you found that to be the same kind of experience?
Hell yeah. Dude, I've done more dungeon run. I'm right now at 104.
You lost, didn't you?
Dude, he just dropped Deathwing. I'm sorry.
For those who didn't know, like right before the show, Nally just wanted to try to finish up the 8th boss in the dungeon run, who's the final boss. Who's typically one of the harder ones. And from the look on his face, it killed off what he needed.
I'm down to 1 health.
Oh!
I'm legit down to 1 health. Dude, I don't even know what to do. I mean,
give up at this point.
I don't know. I still got stupid game. I don't even know. I don't know what to do. Okay, Jade. Okay, play that Jade. Okay.
So while he's doing that, let me explain the idea and the concept behind Kobolds and Catacombs. So for the past few expansions, Hearthstone has been going very much pulling its inspiration from World of Warcraft. And one of the creatures in World of Warcraft is called the Kobold, which is a creature that it spans a lot of different types of games, but also games that include tabletop and like the normal dungeon master type games, typically ones you play in the real world. Well, in almost all of them, kobolds typically live in caverns and catacombs and caves and stuff like that. But with World of Warcraft, they have one special little feature where they are intrigued by candles. Do not steal their candle. They will come after you. They will wreck you. Probably as bad as Nally just got wrecked.
I just lost. Dude, oh man. He topped that, dude. He discarded this whole. He played the 3/6 Warlock Beast that every time it takes damage, discard your hand. I discarded everything out of his hand. Then I played the 3-card Silence and Destroy All Minions. He had nothing, and he top decks Deathwing. I had a board full of 6, 7, and 8 J's, and he top decks Deathwing. How?
This is for those who don't know what top deck means. It means he takes a card, and the card that came out was a card that destroys every other minion that's on the field, and it's also a very, very powerful card to hit the opponent in the face with, which I'm guessing is exactly what happened here.
I had no answer. I couldn't do nothing, dude. He top decks Deathwing. He had nothing. Scheme. I can never win with Rogue. I'm never gonna win with Rogue. Never.
So, yes, the basis behind the game is to take you back into that tabletop type of setting where you are enjoying going into and gathering loot and building yourself up and really enjoying yourself in a turn-by-turn and almost like rolling the dice kind of feel to the game. Which sometimes it kind of does feel like that. Like, the RNG, or the random number generator that just happens in this game, is insane. Much like what just happened to Nally with him getting the one thing that would have pretty much beat him.
Off the top, off the top. I didn't even know they ran Deathwing. Like, Zol does not run Deathwing.
I have no idea.
Like, Ben Brood is just sitting there messing with everybody.
But a lot of the cards for this expansion, they've actually been pretty interesting cards. Like some of the weapons. We have legendary weapons now. I think one of the more popular ones now is King's Bane.
Oh yeah, Kingswing is legit. That's life right there.
Well, it quite literally can be, especially if you buff it up twice with
Poison. Legion, the thing on poison gives it 3 attack, then Legion poison. And on top of that, that's 6 plus the
Life
2
steal?
attack pirate. No, then the 2 attack pirate. So you're at a 7, so 8 health. So you could literally kill minions and for free.
Yeah, and all you need to do is like apply a life steal to it. You can attack, get the exact same amount of health that you would have attacked with, and when the weapon is broken, because you can only use it for a certain amount of time, it then goes back into your deck, which you can then maybe get it again, and it has all of the buffs still on it, which you don't. It just doesn't happen with any other weapon.
And that's I'm glad that's a rogue weapon. Like, no one else deserves to have that.
Deserves.
To be honest. No. Only rogue deserves that.
Why does no other class deserve that?
Because rogue is life, man.
I'm sensing a bias here.
Not really.
No?
I'm a hardcore rogue player, but I can play. What else? What don't I play? Shaman. Shaman's boring. All I have is Evolved Bloodlust, that's it.
But for a long time, we've had, I think the last one was Knights of the Frozen Throne.
Yeah.
Which is a direct correlation to,
Lich Kings. Yeah.
So the Frozen Throne expansion. What was it? Wrath of the Lich King. That's what it's called on World of Warcraft. And so we've had this meta for a while now. And then here comes these new cards to kind of change things up a little bit. And so from the night it happened, we started to see changes in what people were really playing, what kind of things people were playing. The very first night we saw something that we haven't seen before, really, which was Secret Hunter.
Oh, you mean from the first Kobolds drop?
Yes, from the first
Kobolds. You're right. Secret Hunter used to be a thing. It's back now. It's back in full swing. Like, it's back and stronger than ever. Like, which is crazy.
I mean, if I pull it up, let me see if I can pull this up really quick. So if we take a look at hsreplay.net, which is a website that actually takes a look at information from, the past however long, and it uses that as a sort of filter feed to tell you exactly what's happening with how people are playing. We can actually see that Paladin is the strongest with the win rate. Win rate being, how many times it's won versus how many times it's lost against other players. And typically you find more things, and I know within the first 3 days there were definitely more things in Tier 1 than there are now.
Pretty much.
A lot of those that were in Tier 1 before are now in Tier 2. To show just pretty much that, it's I don't know what's happening with Paladin.
Well, the Murloc synergy in Paladin has always been good. It's never got every expansion. It's always the strong Murloc synergy. But the aggro Paladin last expansion made some headway. But now the recruit, the 4-mana recruit card is just you can't beat it.
That
just
is
too
awesome.
Much. Turn 1 you can play the Murloc that buffs. Turn 2 you play the buff Murloc, the one that was buff, which is the 1-mana 2/2, the 1/2.
Yeah.
Every time you play Murloc, you can recruit. If you're on turn 3 with coin, you can recruit into 3 more Murlocs that then buff that for an attack, not even just one. And if one of them is Murloc Wall Eater, then you just deal too much damage that could be stopped. And then there's not enough early AoE outside of what? Lightning Strike. And the thing is a 4-mana dragon from Priest. Rogue has no AoE for that, other than Vanish, which is turn 6. Warrior has nothing, other than the turn 5 brawl. Like, you just can't stop it.
It's interesting.
And the only
Huh?
The only thing that can stop it is Paladin. Consecrate is basically the best thing to slow that down early game.
Let's see. You're talking about Murloc. Oh, wait, which one are you talking about, Murloc or Aggro?
Both.
Let's actually take a look at that really quick. So if we take a look at Aggro, and take a look at the matchups really quick. Apparently,
dude, it's got some sick. Look at that green. Jeez, man.
I think the only things that really has problems with is Aggro Druid.
Yeah. And Token Shaman, which has the devolve. Token Shaman has the devolve. Warlock Aggro Warlock now has those taunts. Those two mana, 2/4 taunts. So those are problematic. And then Temper Rogue, which I guess would run some. They have a lot. They have a lot more single removal, single target removal.
I'm surprised
and then Quest Warrior, which is just taunt. So.
Oh yeah, well, Quest Warrior, I don't even see that on this here for the.
If you look down, in matchups, look down to the bottom. You should see it.
No, I only see Pirate, Recruit, and Shield for Aggro.
Oh.
And then if I go to.
That's why I'm in
Murloc.
Legend. I'm in Legend to 10.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense. Okay. Why is this? What the hell?
Do you have a specific class selected or something? No?
No.
Oh.
Do you have a particular time frame set or something?
Nope. I just have matchup. So what I did was, if you go to the tier list, select Aggro Paladin.
Oh,
and then
that's
you
what
just
you're
look
looking at.
Yeah, you look at the main
No,
stats.
I was looking at the actual individual decks.
Yeah, so if you click on it, if you click on Aggro Paladin and then go into the matchups for Aggro Paladin, then you'd see what it stacks up against.
Aggro.
So go back to tier list. And then click on the Aggro Paladin in the layout. And then you'd see overview and then matchups. When you click on the matchups, it'll show you what it stacks up against.
Ah, gotcha.
So you get the full layout of exactly what the matchups are like, and then what's best to tech for what.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So if you see the Quest Warriors down there, but dude, this green though, that's some crazy.
That's a lot of green.
That's a lot of lettuce. Like, wow.
But I mean, we are honestly seeing a number of different things come back. Not just
a lot of beautiful looking decks, to be honest.
Yes, not just Secret Hunter, not just Aggro Pally.
No.
Well, Murloc Pally hasn't, like you said, hasn't gone anywhere.
Yeah.
It's gotten better over time. But we've got Highlander Priest making a comeback into tier 2.
Yeah, which is it being tier 1 at one point, unbeatable, uncontestable.
Yeah.
And but like I think this is what Blizzard was pushing for, to see a strong diversity in the meta, not just because you now have 4 different decks for Shaman, when before it was only just Token Shaman.
It's true.
It was only Bloodlust and Evolve. That's it. You hope if you get lucky, you win. If you didn't, then maybe next time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different decks for Priest, instead of just different variations on Highlander. Like, that's pretty good. Tempo Rogue, Miracle Rogue, Knight's Bane Rogue, Jade Rogue. Jade Rogue is coming back, and I'm playing Jade Rogue, and it is a beast. Like, you saw the screenshot that I sent, right? I took a picture in the group and I sent it, and I had against a Highlander quest priest.
Check my. Oh wait, you
And
mean the one with the druids? I mean, not the druids.
the Jades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I saw.
And
that.
all my and I was like, bruh. He slipped up once and allowed my one of my Jade Swarmers to stay. I shadow stepped it. The 5-mana 4/4 that gives you a 1/1 copy. I played that. I held on to that. Then I dropped Sonya, charge into that, dropped those two under the field, let those two sit. He did not kill off Sonya. He had to kill off the big Jades that I had. So when the next turn passed, 2 more Jades, and it was just snowball from there, and there's nothing he could do. I trade the 5/4/4, got a 1/1 copy of that, so I made a 1/1 copy of Sonya. So I traded all those in, refilled my board. It was just, he couldn't do nothing. It was just too sweet. Control matchups, that's probably one of the stronger decks for me, but aggro matchups, Pally all the way.
What I'm finding interesting is that there are quite literally new metas being made as well, though. Like, if we take a look at the same matchups thing, for Druid, there's one called Recruit Druid.
Yeah, which is very interesting.
Like
it's pretty cool.
We also have one called Spell Hunter. So not only has Secret Hunter come back, we now have one that's Spell Hunter, and of course Recruit Hunter. Mid-range Hunter has always done fairly well for itself.
Yeah, but now because of the medallion that gives you, and if you play a secret, upgrade it.
Yeah.
So 5 mana for 4 3/3 beasts. It's hard. That's hard to deal with.
Yeah.
That's really hard to deal with, especially if you have a minion buff on the field, or heaven help if you turn 10 Thundering Rhino into that. That's 3, 6, 9, 12 bursts off the top, plus Thundering Rhino. So it's refreshing. Like it feels good to go on ladder and not know what to expect. Like, you now have to think to play. You literally have to think to play. Because if you're like, oh, it's just Highlander, I could just, I could mulligan for these. Now you have to mulligan for, okay, what should I keep? Because this could be Dragon Priest, this could be Highlander Priest, this could be Quest Priest, this could be Aggro Priest, this could be OTK Priest. Do I just throw those aside and decide, okay, I'm gonna play I'm playing my deck first before he gets to play his, and try and use what I have in hand to counter it? Like, it's really requiring you to think now, which is enjoyable. So that means no more Dumpster Legend for dumpster divers. So much real players could get back into could make it to Legend this time, instead of this. Like, dude, I tell you, rank 5, and I'm playing someone that's making rank 20 mistakes. Like, you don't even know how to play this deck, and you beat me just because Highlander was OP at the time. I was bugged. I was pissed, tilted to the 5th degree.
What I'm finding interesting is that there's always been Dragon Priest, there's always been Highlander Priest, now there's Dragon Highlander Priest.
Yeah.
And that is the one that's inside tier 2, which is kind of like, okay, this is an interesting combination here.
Which is because because it allows you to set up your minions and Dragon Fire the entire board without losing minions. That's the only significance of Dragon Priest. Dragon Highlander Priest. Because you have that, and then the 5 mana 5/6 Draknoid Operative. It's very difficult to deal with. Very. So dropping that on the field, and then the following turn Dragon Fire, what do? You
can't.
You really can't deal with that. And then Scale Bane is another difficult one when you can't remove it. So, So if you turn 4 into the 4/3/3 that does AoE, and you manage to clear off a few minions, then you drop Operative. Basically, that's your swing turn. There's really nothing you could do.
And of course, as per usual, if you try to build your deck to fight everything, you're pretty much going to lose to everything.
Yep. So that's why I say you now have to say, okay, do I not worry about what my opponent's going to play and play my deck before he can get out when he needs to get out, and hopefully beat him? Because I'm like the fact that there are a lot more control decks than there are aggro decks feels good. You know, the second you see a flaming golden warrior, you know that's pirate warrior, and you really don't want to deal with that, so you just concede. You know, you see the turn one the Zoth into patches, it's like, okay, whatever. It's just concede.
But now it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be playing against that type.
Exactly, which feels good. It's like so you never know what turn one's going to be. Some people just wait just to hold back what they're going to play to see what you're going to play. Like I went into a matchup with a hunter while I was playing my mill rogue, and he just decided to wait, and he didn't do anything till turn 4, and I was like, okay, time to go to town. I played scale Cobalt, the Cold Light Oracle, Shadow Step, Cold Light Oracle, Prep, the Secret that turns back for 1, and he decided to kill it. He pulled the Eagle Hornbow, killed it, got that back, played that into the return the two mana return for Rogue, and I just went to town. I didn't have to attack him once, and I just went to town. The turn 5 played the one that shuffles 3 spiders into your deck. So when drawn, played that. I bounced that about 4 times, and he just couldn't do nothing. I did not attack once, and I just left the minions there because he had a whole Christmas tree set up, and I didn't do nothing. And I know he was upset, and I just milled him out. So that was fun. So it's definitely made the game a lot less triggering, a lot more enjoyable. Like the amulets for every class plus the weapons.
The weapons are interesting. Like some of the options that you get for those. Like there's one in particular, I think it's the warrior one, where you can get armor and then something random. Like either you can do damage or you can get armor or...
Let's see.
It's the shield.
Oh, the random shield. Yeah.
Yeah. I know there's been a few people that have gotten it where it pretty much gives them, I think it is 15 armor. Because it's got or I think either 15 or 13 armor. Because it already has the armor, and then it says, okay, we're gonna give you 10 more armor or something like that.
I'm looking at it right now. Warrior. Oh no! So the warrior weapon is the one that recruits, and then you're talking about the ruined shield, yeah.
Yeah, the ruined shield one.
Yeah,
I wasn't talking about the legendary.
Yeah, so the gain 5 armor, then gain 10 more armor.
Yes.
For 6 mana, which is not bad. Like
No.
the other, so deal 5 damage is good. I'm not too sure about the 5/2 weapon. That's for 6 mana, you gain 5 armor, and a 5/2 weapon is not really that good. But gaining 5 armor and a 5/5 minion for 6 mana is pretty good. Dealing 5 damage and gaining 5 armor is pretty good. 6 mana, getting 15 armor is never bad.
That is half your health. Exactly. That is half your health. You could use that when you really need it.
That's automatic outside of lethal. That takes you way outside of lethal if you have at least 10 health. You can't beat that. Tower shield, yeah.
I think the only thing that it doesn't even make sense is if you've got a full board of like your opponent's got like 10s and 10s.
Yeah, so imagine that with Taunt Warrior. And then he just, for 6 mana, gained 15 armor. Is like, you just bought him right. you don't even consider it. You just straight up bought him right.
That's the thing, though. That's not a legendary, is it?
No, it's a common.
Right. So you could put that in your deck twice, and imagine if you got that twice. Oh. That exact same setup.
No, I lie. What is it? It's a common card.
Yeah.
It sucks.
You could end up with 6, like, if by any chance they weren't able to really attack you until turn 6, you could have, by turn 7, 60 health.
Restore, yeah, you could restore health.
No, you could have 60 health if they haven't attacked you.
You're right.
So it's cards like that that really have changed the game in a number of different ways. Kingsbane, which is another weapon, quite literally has decks built just around that weapon.
Yeah. And I love it. I love, like I said, Kingsbane is just, it's just so rogue sweet. To be honest, like it's just too good. It's really good. Like it is in my opinion the best of all the weapons because it's 1 mana and you can reshuffle it. Like they've done some like I've watched some experiments where you could there's a common card that once it returns a destroyed weapon to your hand.
Yeah.
So essentially you could have multiple Kingsbane in your hand.
The
And
only
you can
issue
buff multiple Kingsbane.
the only issue I have with that is that if you get a copy, because it essentially makes a copy of the weapon.
Mm-hmm.
So
Unbuff copy, yeah.
Yeah, so you have one buffed copy that you could have probably have, and then you've got this unbuffed copy. So you may have used all your buffs on one. So you kind of have to be careful with how you buff if you're going to have that card inside your hand.
Agreed. But let's just say you decide to go for a 2 card buff. You could run 2 copies of certain things just to have a double backup in case for whatever reason. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of ineffective, but it basically only works for pirate, I think.
Yeah.
Or if you decide to go crazy with shaman, or no, that actually does go best with only warrior because your recruit return a 8-mana 3/3 weapon back to your hand after it's been destroyed to recruit more. Is that a part of? I feel like I need to check this out, dude. I've been theory crafting some decks. It's just it's sick.
Because I mean, you definitely can't use it. I think I forget if it's shaman or druid that you attack 3 times with it and then it fills you up with 10 mana crystals.
That's druid. Yeah.
Okay.
Like timing it is crucial. Once you can time that correctly, like I've seen Kun into refreshing mana into 2 big minions, destroying the weapon into 10 more mana, and I'm like, dude, this is 3 turns. This is a 3-turn turn.
Yep.
Like that's retarded. Like I mean, it's awesome, but it's retarded. But then you lose so much tempo just to play those cards, which it's still balanced. It's not broken. It's not ultimate infestation into double innovate for 2 mana broken, but it's still pretty good.
So, Nally, what has been your experience with Dungeon Run?
Besides these broken bosses that I can never seem to beat, dude. So the 2 worst bosses so far are the King, the Candle King, King Kobold, and Zal. They're unbeatable.
Really? No, because I've beaten Zal. I have problems with the darkness. Like that's my main one.
I chalk the darkness because he can only summon 1 5/5 per turn.
But that's not the only minion that he could put down.
I know,
turn, though.
but that's the only problem. That's the only problem. They're the only problems because they can just regenerate. The other minions you could deal with, and you could just hold your candle, just clear board when you need to. You can basically fatigue him, or you can mill him, or you could just wait him out until you have what you need to set him up, which is fine. You don't have that option with anybody else. Like honestly, he's easier for me. I've beat him 1 shot with Druid. Wasn't even competition. It was too easy.
Actually, I fatigued a boss before. That wasn't him. I think it was.
What's his name? The Devourer. I think he mentioned
it was
the Devourer.
Let's see, Adventure. Lost to the twice. Where is this guy? So Azari the Devourer, I beat. That's not the one I'm talking about. It was the dragon one. Not in a fire. Wait, that's a different adventure. What am I-
Hmm.
Begins with a V.
Uh, have you ever ran from?
If I ever ran what?
Ended up in the trap room.
Actually, no, I haven't.
That's so. Trust me, that's so broken. Like, that's so broken because you can't do anything. Imagine playing a class that uses everyone's secrets. It could be anything, bro. It could literally be anything. You may not be able to play a minion. You may not be able. Dude, I lost by turn 2 hero powering. Got sniped. Got hit for using my hero power. Played a 1-cost minion. It triggered twice. It triggered the sheep spell, and it triggered the what was it? The sheep spell, and everything was a hunter card when a minion is played. Do something.
Three snakes.
I just kept triggering, and by turn 4, he had a field full of 3/3 buzzsaws, and I was like, why this fucking game? It's like, fuck my life.
Oh, I found out who it was. It was Vostras the Ancient.
Okay.
So that was with Warrior, I think it is. Let me see. Yeah, this was Warrior that I fatigued it with.
The best card in Dungeon Run is the Wax Rager. That is
Yes.
He's the best. He's the best. Like, that is a godsend right there. Like, I did one run before, and the 1 mana, choose a minion, all minions in your hand become that.
Yep.
And that's all I had. That's all I needed. Couldn't do nothing until they got the silence all minions and destroy them. And I was like, this fucking game.
Imagine you have double death rattle though.
Doesn't matter. Once they're silenced, they silence them and
I
then
know,
destroy them.
but you don't even need that other card. Quite literally.
That's true.
They keep
That's true.
If they just keep destroying it,
just
it will
destroy
keep
it
coming
and get
back.
2 more. Yeah. They always end up with 2 more.
That's quite literally what I did with when I got that one. I did that, and that happened with one of my matches. So I just had a board full of those.
Lucky. Some people get all the luck.
I haven't had much luck.
Dude,
There's
like
a
I
little bit
said,
here and there.
I am 100 and almost 40 wins with Rogue for beating bosses, but I still can't. Still can't beat the dungeon with Rogue.
I have
matter
only
what.
beaten three with classes so far.
I've only beaten it with Druid on the first run. Broken ass class.
I don't know what to tell you, man.
How many tries did you take with those classes?
It
You
honestly
used to be in
depends.
Dungeon Run. I've seen you. You've been in Dungeon Run live. 3 a.m. Tutsumi's in the dungeon.
I've been in there quite a bit. I honestly can't tell you how many times. Let me see. Adventure.
Does it even show you?
It doesn't. It really doesn't.
They should really have something for that.
They should. I would have to log in to actually be able to tell you. Let's see.
The thing is, like, you can't just. Can you hover over your class to see how much wins you have? I think you can,
There should be something about that. Let's see if we do it. But this doesn't. Okay, so yeah, that's 1 run, 2 runs, 3 runs with Druid. 2 runs with Hunter. Haven't tried it with Mage. 1, 2, 3 runs with Paladin. 1 on the 3rd one. 3 runs with priests. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 runs on rogue, which I actually beat Zol with rogue.
Lucky.
Shaman has been 2 runs. Warlock, I started my first run today with that. And Warrior, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 runs. Yeah, I've done my fair share. Generally, I end up losing either turn 6, 7, or 8. What about you?
Like I said, I've done about 4 runs with Priest, 1 run with Shaman, 1 run with Paladin, I think about 5 or 6 with Warlock, and got really close every freaking time. Like, anyway, every time. And I haven't done one run completion with Druid. I think I did 1 with Warrior, but mainly Rogue. I gotta finish Rogue first. It's only way I can focus on the other ones. My life, this game. I don't know. It's toxic, man. It's too toxic.
Well, I mean, you say toxic, but there you are still playing the game.
You're right. You're right.
And it's
I'm
not
140 with Rogue right now.
How is it toxic if it's only you playing the game?
Because it's toxic to me.
It's because
It's poisoning me.
Because you keep losing.
No, because I guess can't be the boss.
Because you keep losing.
It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like, I'll say, okay, let me take this, take that. Awesome board, ready to go. Can't stop clearing his board, discard his hand, and he top decks fucking Deathwing.
Okay, so here's a question. What makes you keep coming back to Dungeon Run?
Because it's fun. It's like addictively fun. Like, it's like really addictively fun.
For me, I think it's that I enjoy facing off these different kinds of characters. Sometimes meeting ones that I haven't met before. Like, I still have yet to even go into the trap room. I hope I never do. But playing against characters like AFK and the Bard.
Well, AFK technically only does nothing till turn 7.
Yeah.
If you don't beat it by turn 7, you're done, basically.
First time I met AFK, I beat her turn 8. And that was after she had already started whipping my butt.
Yeah.
And the last time I beat her was turn 6.
Yeah. Like, the first time I faced AFK, she was dead turn 5. I was like, okay, cool. I just dropped my buff minions and boom, 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 boom. And that was it. I didn't even know she did anything until someone said that, oh, AFK beat me. I was like, dude, how do you lose to AFK? She's AFK. She doesn't do anything at all. How?
But and then some of these interactions, like when AFK comes, like starts, she's like, "Oh, we're playing," and I'm like, "It's like at the time I'm like, yeah, you idiot, we're playing," but then I sit back and I think, and I'm like, that is exactly what someone who came back to their game and noticed it started would say.
That's what makes it awesome. Like, they took all that in consideration. That's probably what makes Hearthstone so addictive. It's the fact that they understand how players play, and when they incorporate certain things, they incorporate it properly. They don't just throw it in. Like, you have a lot of game developers that just throw stuff in to make people happy. No, they definitely take their time. Like, they really and truly take their time to make this game truly enjoyable. And I think they realize that, we come up with a new, like, after Knights of the Frozen Throne, and everybody just completed it, got their Arthas, and that was it. No one actually went back to it. Yeah. But Dungeon, you just keep going back, because like I've played probably one person so far on ladder that has the candle card back, and I'm like, oh, now I have to go back and get it because it looks so sweet though, and the only way you get it is from
playing all classes.
Exactly. You can't like it's like Arthas. You can't just not get it. You have to earn it. You don't, there's no money you could chuck at it to win it, to be honest.
Which is nice.
Yeah. And it makes it better for free to play players as well. There is no money you could throw at Dungeon Run to beat it.
Yep.
Whatsoever. That's a good thing.
And it's not like you can even buy packs because you quite literally build up. And I actually realized it. We didn't actually say how Dungeon Run works.
Sure.
So you start off with a very few pre-selected cards that build up your deck. Like those are the beginning of your deck. You play against a Sewer Rat, a Whelpling, or Bink the Burglar. One of those three to start off your game. And you have to beat them to then get your first treasure item. That treasure item is randomly, you can pick one out of three, and each of those three are randomly selected from like a listing of almost, I think, 20 different ones, or it feels like that at least.
Dude, it's a lot. There's a lot, and you actually don't even face them some of the time.
Yeah. And then when you pick your treasure, then you like try to pick the 3 sets of cards. You get 3 options. And each option has 3 cards in it that you can pick, and each one of them are kind of themed. So you can try to build a particular kind of deck. Like there are people that will quite literally make a Cthulhu deck and get like 5, and you can get multiple of the same card, even if it goes over the limit. Like there's someone who I saw who quite literally had like 5 Cthulhu in his deck.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I've had about 4 Cthulhu's and nothing but Cthulhu buffs. So Battle Crash triggered twice, and once that was it. I think that's actually how I won with that's how I almost won with Rogue. Never mind.
But yeah, so then you face up against like 8 bosses in total after that initial one. And then each one ranges in difficulty. Some of the random ones that you can find do become if you face them earlier on, they're a lot easier than if you would have faced them later on, because then their buffs change. Sometimes it just like there's one, for example, he will throw out a stick of dynamite to 2 random minions if you meet him earlier on, and it only does 1 damage. If you meet him later on, it does 2 damage, and I think it throws it to 3 instead. And yes, you are targetable as well. So yeah, you have to be really careful with how you play your minions when you start that, because you can put that down and then next turn they're dead.
Pretty much. Damn it. Did I just melt myself? No.
As Nally continues to try and beat this boss again.
No, dude. I think of all the minions that I played, the absolute worst to go up against is the pirate that has the passive charge.
Candlebeard?
Once he plays the minion that has charge, yeah. No. Yeah, the Candlebeard. Dude, if you meet him at just quit. It's almost impossible to beat him, because anything he plays, he can remove a minion unless you have significant minion buff. Like it's almost impossible to beat him, like legit. Which is crazy.
At which point?
If you meet him after 4 wins, like if he's boss 6 or 7, it's just almost impossible to stop him. Like you need to have your opponent's minions cost more. Your minions have buff. If you don't have those, you're not gonna beat him. Because dude, once he drops the Magma Rager, and then it's just snowball after that. It's like legit difficult to just stop him.
But yeah, and then you meet up with those kind of bosses. And then of course there's the 8th boss, which is the hardest boss, and sometimes almost feels broken boss.
It is broken boss. Like Ben Brothers said it's broken boss. You're like, dude, fighting him is not easy. Like you're not just gonna beat him.
No.
Like if you think you're gonna win, you're probably not. And I was like, why are you just killing D9 Spirit on the other?
And I mean, yeah, you can sometimes beat a boss and then go right back, and if you somehow get the same boss, it could end up whooping your butt. Just luck of the draw. That's quite literally sometimes what happens. Um, I know there was one time when I almost had a boss as well, and it pulled one thing which cleared off.
Deathwing?
No, it wasn't Deathwing. I think it was Meteor. Something that cleared off my board that wasn't Deathwing. Then played like 2 other minions, and it just started wrecking my face.
Don't forget the 5 mana mage card that draw a card from your deck and deal damage to all minions on the board. That'll definitely do it to you.
I'm wondering like what that was now. I know the darkness has just been wrecking me, period.
Katie.
No. But I mean, honestly, if you play Hearthstone and you're watching or you're listening, give Dungeon Run a try if you haven't already. And if you have tried it and you've lost and you kind of got pissed off, just do it again. Try it again. It's fun and interesting. It's almost like a little bit of a tutorial into how to play.
I was just going to get into that as well. Like, it's actually a pretty for a lot of players. Like, especially, those who aren't familiar with the game. It's a great starting point. It's a really good starting point to learn how to play the game.
Yep.
Like, if you as a new player can't beat the big rat, then you don't know how to play the game, and you will learn how to play to beat the big rat. You learn the fundamentals with all those basic 1/1. It's actually better than the Innkeeper, to be honest. The Innkeeper will give you instructions, but that's real world play.
Yep.
Like, that's how you'd play someone who's also learning, but knows the fundamentals.
So, I mean, if you can get up to the 8th boss, or at least the 6th or 7th or 8th boss, I should say, then you know that you've at least got the foundations of playing Hearthstone down fairly well. Either that, or you were just insanely lucky.
Lucky as boy.
But I think that covers it for this week's episode of Esports Wrap. Is there anything else about Kobolds and Catacombs that we haven't touched on?
No, I think we pretty much summed up exactly what the meta is. Just beautiful now. It's just one to be enjoyed, to be honest. Like, you can't even be mad at it.
No, not really.
Like, and that's where it needs to be. Like, it's exactly where it needs to be, no more, no less. Anything more would just be a bunch of broken decks and broken games, to be honest. And
the meta is gonna be shifting, because it's only been like a week or so.
Dude, the meta is still unstable. It's beautiful. I love it. I can't complain. Can never complain. It's too good.
But we still have people quite literally like making decks and theory crafting, so we might find even like other more insane decks, just like that Exodia Shaman deck that I showed you guys inside the chat,
which was amazing. I saw what's his name, Kinky Archstone play it, and he just let the sacks just started kicking in. That was it. I was like, look at him go! Wow. But what I was gonna say, dude, I've theory crafted mill darkness deck, and I think I went like 6 and 9 or something like that. It was pretty good. Like, you didn't play darkness until the late game, and you played darkness. Once you summon him, you shadow casted the darkness. You played him again. You played a Merle. So you legit just had a board full of darkness, man. Because once you play darkness, he automatically goes dormant. So when he becomes active, he becomes a 20/20. So he doesn't stay a 1/1.
Yep.
Which was awesome.
One thing about
I still had some 8 to 10 cards in my deck.
One thing that I find interesting about darkness, though, as he's dormant, you can't kill him. So
Can't do
that's
anything.
beautiful.
Can't
Like,
silence him. Yeah, you can't silence or nothing. It becomes a portal basically,
yeah.
which is which is good.
So
And
even if
that's
someone
part of one of the things that make it enjoyable.
throws down Deathwing, it's still right there.
Yeah, and what's so funny, your opponent then has to be careful what they draw. So let's just say there are two candles already lit. If they draw into a turn where, like they say, they play a minion that draws at the end of their turn, like Shaman, you now draw the candle, then you draw another card. Your turn's over. I now have an activated 4 mana 20/20 that you can't do anything about. You can't evolve it because your turn's already over.
Yep.
You know, so you actually make them consider playing a card again or playing that particular card to avoid drawing because they.
Oh, you kind
Okay,
of
see.
broke off there. So just say that
Oh,
last part
sorry.
again.
No, so it makes your opponent think now that okay, if I play this and if I play this totem at the end of my turn and I draw a card, I could potentially draw a candle, and that candle activates darkness into his turn, I lose.
Yep.
So now, do I draw to hopefully get the piece that I need, or do I not draw to avoid, stuffing out the final candle piece? Like, and that's so good. Like when you have to force your opponent to abandon their deck, abandon ye all hope, just to avoid death. That's a good thing. That's a good way to play the game.
Yep. Well, yeah, I think that covers everything about Kobolds and Catacombs. If you were watching and you're just kind of looking, then I hope you enjoyed the show. If you're listening via podcast, well, I hope you enjoyed it as well. Of course, feel free to follow on YouTube if you're watching it there. Well, subscribe on YouTube, subscribe on Twitch, or follow on Twitch, and follow us on download our MP3s or whatever you want to do with the podcast. All ways for you to just tune in and listen. Don't forget, Esports Wrap will be back next week, Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Tech Talk will be back with you this upcoming Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as well. For this episode of Esports Wrap, I'm Michael Amargon, and I'd like to also thank my guest for coming on.
No problem. It's good to be here, Jim.
Jim, okay. He's dead, Jim. Dead!
It's gold, Jerry. Gold!
Before we go too off base, take care, everyone, and enjoy a cookie.
Dude. We clear?